Well, welcome to those who have joined us today. We're excited to offer this opportunity. Thanks for being here. My name is Caitlin Hanberry, and I work for the Alumni Relations Office in the VCU College of Humanities and Sciences. We're excited to have the opportunity today for you to meet the college's new dean, Dr. Jennifer Malat.
Hi.
First, I will introduce Dr. Malat, and then I will ask her a series of questions, some of which you all submitted prior to today's program. And we'll leave a few minutes at the end of our time in case you would like to submit a question via the Q&A function here on this webinar during the course of our hour here together. We are recording today's event and we'll post it to the website for those who weren't able to attend so that you'll have an opportunity to review it later. And now our special guest. Jennifer Malat began her tenure as Dean of VCU's College of Humanities and Sciences on July 1st. Dean Malat joins us from the University of Cincinnati, where she served as Divisional Dean for Social Sciences in the College of Arts and Sciences. There, she founded the Cincinnati Project, a research initiative that connects researchers in the College of Arts and Sciences with organizations that serve marginalized people to conduct research with a direct community benefit, and also served as director of the University of Cincinnati's Kuhn Center for Social Research. As professor of sociology, Dean Malat's research focuses on how racial inequity affects the health of people in the United States. In particular, how the system of racial inequality affects patients of health and healthcare providers' perceptions of medical encounters. Her research has appeared in top journals, including Social Science and Medicine and Journal of Health and Social Behavior, and has been funded by several organizations such as the National Institutes for Health, the National Science Foundation, Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, March of Dimes, and Cincinnati Children's Hospital and Medical Center. Dean Malat, thanks for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here.
So first question, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, so I suppose I can go back and tell you something about where I come from. So I grew up in Minnesota and I went to the University of Minnesota there and to get my undergraduate degree. And then when I went to graduate school, I moved to Michigan and went to the University of Michigan. And I'll do my university hopping. And then I went to the University of Cincinnati where I had my first job. So I had a series of moves all at big state schools and slowly moved south. Everybody at the University of Michigan thought that everyone from a warmer place thought it was so cold there. And I said, it's not so bad here because I was coming from Minnesota. And I have a family. I have two kids who are one who is graduated from college and lives on her own in Indiana, and a son who's a junior in college. So yeah, and I live with a partner. So I have a whole family, although we're just the two of us now who are together. And the children will come though and visit us at Thanksgiving. So we're looking forward to that.
Great. Your field of study is sociology, as I mentioned in your bio, and in particular, racial disparities in health. Can you talk a little bit about your research?
Sure. So, when you go to graduate school, you have to find an area to focus in on. And I was really lucky because the year that I started, a professor who is now at Harvard University, his name's David Williams, he was leading a class that a lot of students fulfilled a requirement. And so I took it, and it was about racial differences in health. And that set me on the path to doing research on race and health. And so, yeah, so that was, like many things in life, there's just like these chance moments. And I was lucky to get connected with David through that. And it really fed into an overall interest I had in understanding how there are these differences across gender and across race and across class. And so that's what my research focused in on. And then, as my work developed, one of the things that I've spent a lot of time, especially earlier in my career, thinking about is how race affects when people go to the doctor. So when we're there in that room and there's just the two of you, a doctor or a healthcare provider and the patient, how does race come into that room, even though it's just the two of you in there? And the answer is in lots of ways, right? Where do you go to the doctor? Do you have insurance? And then also it comes in through the interaction itself. And so that was one of the places that I focused my work. So yeah, so that's what I had done research on for quite a while. And then more recently, I'm doing work about how inequalities over a lifetime affect people's health, all the way from childhood into adulthood. So yeah, and we can see it, right, with like the differences in how people are responding in the pandemic. Not all groups are having the same outcomes when they get coronavirus. And a lot of that probably, we're still finding out, but probably has to do with, as we say, the people who study the social determinants of health say where we live, learn, work, and play. Those things affect our health, and over our whole lives, they're affecting our health. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's certainly important work. And I know it's extra relevant today, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So what attracted you to join VCU, and in particular College of Humanities and Sciences?
Yeah, so I had been at the University of Cincinnati for 20 years, and I was working there doing some of the things that you talked about in the introduction. I was, by the time I left, I was co-leading, but previously I had been one of the founders of and led this community engagement initiative. And I was working in the dean's office, supporting the departments in the social sciences. And yeah, and so, I mean, there's always a personal part with the professional. So my younger child had gone off to college. And so I felt like now I can think about looking around and moving without disrupting my kids, which of course kids can survive that, but I didn't want to move away from them, and I shared custody of them. So that became my time that I could go and look around. And I was so excited to find out about this job because I knew what I wanted. I wanted to find a place exactly like VCU, an urban university that's public and has a research as well as teaching missions. And so, yeah, so that was great. So that's what first attracted me to come here. And, some people feel, and, the people in this meeting all know how great the college is. Some people get put off by a big college like ours with all of its different disciplines and, thousands and thousands of students, and they think it's so big. But to me, that's what's exciting. I love the idea of being in this space where there's all these people doing different, just engaging with different kinds of questions, and students here who are getting exposed to all these different ideas through all of our different departments. So yeah, so I was really excited about the job when I saw it come up, and I'm glad that I'm here.
And we're so glad you are here. And so now that you are here, what have you found? I know it's not a typical campus experience this first semester of your tenure, but what are you finding now that you're on the job?
Yeah, so I it's really, in some ways I would say there's like not cognitive dissonance exactly, but there's just this contradiction between the difficult times that we're living in and then all of the the like happiness that I find in getting to know everyone in the college. I am finding so much dedication and participation from people in the college. I could give so many examples of it too. There are students right now who are planning a town hall. Caitlin and I are talking to them about that, and they are overwhelmed with classes and busy and trying to figure out when a good time is going to be, but they want to do something similar to this so that students can have a chance to talk to me. And anyway, that I don't want to digress about it, but I think it's great. I mean, that's an example of the excitement that I see. And we have a group of faculty in the Robertson School for Media and Culture and in the Department of Political Science who have done so much work with the team in the college to develop a website, but they're providing all this content for a website about the election. And so we're living in this time when, there's all this tension in our election. We don't know how it's going to go and what's going to happen. And so we are leveraging the expertise that we have here to provide this service to our VCU community, but also to more broadly. We should put in the chat the link, although that will be distracting. I don't know if you can do that right now.
I'll do that.
So yeah, check out the website, especially if you live here still in Virginia or in Richmond. There's lots of information about the elections, and there's all these events. Now I'm going to start plugging events. There's the one that I am most pleased that will be coming, and I have on my calendar, is it's like 2 or 3 days after the election, and it's called something like What Just Happened. And so if we have an election where things aren't settled in the way we're accustomed to, we have got the programming already set up to try to talk through that and yeah, figure out what just happened. But anyway, so yeah, I even have another example. Is there's a group of faculty and students working together on developing a new course as well that we're talking about. I guess I shouldn't oversell because we don't know exactly how it'll all work out, but they're having conversation about getting it to be part of the general education curriculum, a course about race and racism. And the course is really born out of current events, but well, I would say the impetus is that, but we can see that there is this need that has become all the more clear to make sure that the students who come through our college have the opportunity to understand the history of what got us to where we are today and what we see happening around us. And so those are all the, exciting things that I'm seeing. And then of course, people are, working unbelievably hard, adapting to working through the pandemic, because of course, as you all know, the college isn't a online school. So we had to switch really fast in March and then continue this semester. I think we're at about 40% fully remote. Does that sound right, Caitlin? I can't remember exactly the number, but about 50% are, in person and remote. And so, so people had to learn how to do that, taking workshops over the summer and doing all that to prepare their courses for online, and then supporting students who are really feeling the stress. So I am just, this time presents a lot of challenges, but it has been really great to get to know people by seeing how hard they work and how dedicated they are.
So, you touched on this a little bit just now, but what has it been like starting this job, or any new job, I guess you could say, during the pandemic?
Yeah.
It's obviously changed the nature of how you would have otherwise started your work at VCU, but maybe talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I guess the answer is Zoom. That's the answer. It has been like Zoom. I am on Zoom all the time. Even this, right? We're doing this over Zoom, and we would have probably, I imagine, we would have been doing some in-person events so that I would have gotten a chance to meet people in person. And it's a change because I'm not meeting people in person, but at the same time, I think I've just become accustomed to it. I only know this job as being a remote job. And so I'm meeting people and I'm getting to know them. The meeting I was in before I came to this, the person I was talking to, he is one of our chairs, and he's on a budget committee with me, and I see him in chairs council, but we were having a one-on-one meeting about something in his department. And I said to him, I think this is the first time we've been in a one-on-one meeting. And then he said, I've never met you in person. And we both laughed about it, but it doesn't get in the way of us, having a relationship. I do feel like I'm getting to know everybody despite being remote. Yeah, and I'm actually on campus in my office, which is my preference. I like to be able to come in. I don't live very far away, and I'm able to be safe because I have a door and an office by myself, so I can come in and be safe in this space. Yeah.
So like you've just mentioned, so much has changed our way of life in the last 7 months. How do some of the changes that we're going through at this moment affect your view of the work and mission of the college?
Yeah. So, I gave this a lot of thought because when I interviewed here, I was asked what direction I'd want to take the college and what I think we need to do. And, the college had done a lot of work before I came, thinking about what its goals were. And there's a really great strategic plan that's online that you can see that talks about where the college wants to go. And I really believed in that. That's also part of what attracted me to this job. So, so to me, our goals and our mission, they haven't changed. I mean, we still need to serve students and we're still serving, the same students. We just have to figure out new ways to do what we do. And, I can read to you this little sentence I have written because I was asked by a group I was working with what my vision was. And I think, so here, I will read to you how I summed it up. So I wrote I want us to be a vibrant urban research university that equitably serves a diverse student population, is a rewarding place to work, contributes to its city, and is economically sustainable in the coming decades. And all of that reflects what I think is how the college already thinks about itself and how, and how people who I talk to about the college see us too. We're just going to have to figure out new ways to do it. But I think, we have a real opportunity here because, we, the future, I feel like there's like this opening, right? Because we've had to move online and students' lives are changed. And these students we're all changed by going through the pandemic. And so our question that we have to answer in the college is how do we educate students into the future? Will we go back to being how we were before, being almost exclusively in person? Probably not. And so what does that look like? And even if we wanted to, would students want to? Are they going to want a mix of online and in person once the pandemic's over? These are all things that we have to figure out. And I think we also have to think about what we're preparing students for. So, when the world of work itself is changing. I mean, we can see this in the country, right? They're talking about how people are moving out of the big expensive cities and moving to less expensive places because work is remote now. And so what will the jobs be and how will they be done? And then just, more broadly, like thinking about not just that we're preparing students for work, but we're also preparing students for life. And so what we offer students through their experiences in literature classes, for example, how does that help them find joy and pleasure in difficult times? And how does it help them understand other people's points of view and different periods, that students learn in history and all of that. So we have a really important role to play, and it's simultaneously like nothing's changed and everything's changed. I mean, it really is, I think, the difference, but what we're trying to achieve isn't that different, but what we need to do to get there, we're going to have to adjust. That's where I'm so happy about how engaged everyone is. People have so many great ideas, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention,
That's right.
as we've come to hold dear these last 7 months.
Yeah.
So some of you mentioned some of how this has changed your vision, but how does it, or what are your plans for the college? I mean, you obviously had perhaps some ideas about your work and what was going to be required. Can you talk a little bit about your vision beyond, maybe this first period? What are your plans?
Yeah. Well, so some of these details, I don't want to make it too boring. I mean, my first step is that I am putting in some new positions in the dean's office and doing away with some other ones so that we can be best organized to move forward in the ways that we need to. So, yeah, so that's part of the answer to your question. I mean, one thing that the college historically, for example, has really relied on students just coming, just naturally coming to school here, because of the reputation we had and the opportunities that we provide. And so I think we're going to need to be more careful or more intentional about how we sell what we do, how we communicate and let people know that it's worth their time and their money to come to VCU. So that's one thing that we're going to have to think about. And as we're thinking about it, we have to answer those questions I said before. I mean, what do students need now? And what are we best positioned to provide to them? And the question is, how does this change things? Right? I'm also, I come from the work I did in Cincinnati with the Cincinnati Project was really, the goal there was to bring higher visibility to the people in the college, the faculty and the students who are doing community partnered work, and then to provide more opportunities for people to do that work. And I want to see us continue that. And so I'm not sure, right now everyone's sort of trying to get through the pandemic here, but I think as we either adjust to this or start to move out of it, we'll see more and more opportunities for that kind of work. And I think for a university like ours, in a city, a public institution, I think that it's really important that we figure out, well, we already are. Some people, I don't want to gloss over the people doing the work, but that we elevate and talk about the ways that we can engage with the place that we live and make Richmond a better city for everyone who lives here. And so I'm really excited about those possibilities. And one of the positions that I have added into the dean's office is an associate dean who will be thinking about those community partnerships and how we do that work and how we bring more visibility to it. And one of the things I think is exciting and potentially, one of the things that we did at Cincinnati that I'd like to bring here, that I know some faculty are already doing, but is to provide some of those opportunities in classes, and to provide more of them. And one way that I think we can promote that is by facilitating, like letting faculty know, like, oh, here's this opportunity for your students, because it's a lot of work to go find the opportunities. But just to give you one example of something is, when at Cincinnati, we would do things like, if a nonprofit in the city needed some piece of information or some research, we would have a class who, as part of their assignments, would find out the answer to that question for them. And then the students themselves would present the findings to the nonprofit. So then in that way, the students were getting applied experience, answering a question that mattered to people where they lived, and then also presenting it. So they would wear their future work clothes and go and share the results. And sometimes the questions, they would do things like, look at, say there was a food pantry. This was a real thing that happened. There was a food pantry and they wanted to know, what are the demographics of people in our zone, because they wanted to apply for a grant to get more money, and they just needed to know the percent of families living in poverty who were in their neighborhood. And so the students learned how to go on the census and page and pull that information, and the organization got a benefit from it. So I think that those kinds of things we can really promote and do more of, and I want to see us doing that moving forward. Yeah, and then I also want to hear what people want to do. One of the things I'll be doing in the beginning of next year, in January or February of 2021, is asking for ideas to out of the college, and really I would take them from anywhere, about new degrees and research areas that we might explore and move, that sort of are like pushing us forward into the future, because we don't want to stay static and get too stuck on always doing the same things. And that's not to do away with what we're offering now, but even just thinking about new ways to mix things together can be really exciting and provide students with opportunities that they're looking for.
Yeah, I want to go back and revisit one of the things you said. We are doing, you're right, the college is doing some of this work already, but it's not been visible maybe in the ways that help best serve the community as making the university a resource. So I think we're all very excited in the college to do more of that work and celebrate it.
Yeah. Yep. And I think once we start celebrating and talking about it, then people come and they say, hey, can you help us with this? And then it just feeds on itself and it's really lovely.
So switching gears a little bit, you've had a chance to meet some of our alumni and supporters at the college. What have you been surprised to learn about, or what excites you about some things that they've shared with you?
Well, the first thing I think is I'm learning a lot about how great the food is in Richmond from the people that I talk to. I get lots of restaurant suggestions, and now I'll admit the first couple I got just seemed like the people offered them, but now I ask because I know how good the food is here. But that's not really the most important thing. Although maybe it is. Takeout is very important right now.
Culture.
But in any case, what I am seeing is, and the people I'm meeting are so committed to VCU and to the college and have so much affection for the college and really, and for the students who are here and for the people who went to school here. So for the alums who went here, you know, they have fond memories of their time here. I meet people who met their spouses and partners here, people whose children go here now. And it's really, it's nice to be joining that kind of community and getting to know people who are all part of the community. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I also am enjoying talking to people about the work that, like what they're doing, like for their jobs, and then how they think about helping our students, you know, move into that space and what they think, because, you know, I think a lot of times professors don't want to be teased about living in an ivory tower and not knowing what's going on. But the truth is we do live, everybody in their industry is sort of isolated. And so I've really enjoyed talking to people and asking them about what they think. If they were to be preparing students today, what would they recommend? So yeah, and everyone's really generous with their time. I've really enjoyed meeting people. It's been great.
And I hope they've been generous with anecdotes of the VCU days before today. There's so much pride amongst our alums for this city and the university. And I know you have many more storytelling sessions to enjoy ahead of you as you meet more alums.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to the pandemic being over because I've gotten promises of tours of places in the city and all kinds of stuff. So, yep. So I'm looking forward to continuing those conversations once we can be in person too.
well, that's a great segue to my next question, which is, are you enjoying getting to know Richmond and, you know, and Virginia? You're a new resident of Richmond in the state. And so tell us about that.
Yeah. I love Richmond. Everyone told us before we moved, you're going to love Richmond, everyone who knew it. And I thought they were just being polite because we were moving and we were nervous about it. But I think those people, you know, they were friends and they really did. They were right. We are loving living in Richmond. The food really is delicious, which everyone says. And if you, you know, I'm from Cincinnati, so it's the Midwest and people are, you know, critical of that, but it is, you know, it's a city. And but anyway, the food is good. But I really enjoy doing things outside. And so we are doing a lot of things outdoors and really exploring the area around Richmond in Virginia. So as I already said, I'm a Midwesterner. And so being so close to the ocean has been thrilling. And even though it's far, it doesn't seem too far because people where I come from drive all whatever it is, like 15 hours to go to the Atlantic Ocean. So the fact that it's just right there and we can go there in a day, we love. And I also really enjoy going east as well into the mountains, and we enjoy camping and being outside. So, I mean, and I think, you know, my partner, he is he's somebody who's really like, he wants to do all the things. He's not going to an office at all. He's working at home all the time. So he helps coordinate to make sure we get out of town. Every few weekends, we go someplace and see something new. So we're really seeing a lot of the state. Yeah, so I'm really liking it. And should I be quiet? I could go on and
No,
on.
no.
I like it here. I live right over in Bird Park, so I'm near campus. And so I live in a lovely neighborhood too. So it's just been great. Yeah.
Well, we've got a few questions in our Q&A
Okay.
chat feature here. This one is, let's see, your specialty is one that may inform our response to current events on campus, from protests to vandalism to defund the VCU police and other structural changes. Are you involved with the university's effort to hear the students while navigating bigger issues?
So, well, I'm not sure about, so the person can follow up if they want, about how, in what way I might be involved. I mean, there is like a committee that's a university level committee about, I forget what it's called, but it's like a public safety committee. And so that group is working on navigating this space around responding to the current movement to defund police among some people, and then also managing safety concerns that other people have. And so I feel, I think the VCU police, their approach to things, I've been really impressed. I've seen a presentation that they have done about the ways that they're thinking about these things, about balancing safety and the different reasons police get called, I guess is what I'll say. And so they have talked about how they were already doing things, and in part maybe because they're campus police, though that's not necessarily always true, but responding when it's a mental health crisis, responding with appropriate response, for that concern, so that we support the students who call and the people who are involved with them. So now I want to, did I answer the question? Now I'm afraid I got lost.
Well, it's connected to your sort of specialty, your field,
Yeah.
sociology. Are you involved in any of these conversations, or have you had input?
Yeah, no, I haven't really yet. I mean, not other than, being the dean, so I've been made aware of what's happening. But I only moved to Richmond in July and started my job in July. So I'm just getting, my feet on the ground here. So I'm not really directly involved with anything right now, no.
And we have another question. What is your thinking about the social justice movement more locally here in Richmond? We're interested in your perspective as a new resident of the city.
Yeah, I'm really learning a lot. Coming from, there's construction. So they're building the new STEM building, and it's very near to here in my office. Sounds like it got quiet. If it gets loud, Caitlin, let me know and I'll put on headphones. That sometimes helps with the noise that comes from that. Okay, so coming in as from outside of this area at this time is really quite a time to be arriving. When I was here in January interviewing for my job and was given a tour, and I was, the message I got was that the monuments are just part of Richmond and they're part of living here. And like it was very much presented to me as something that would never ever change. And then a few months, well, more than a few months, you all know better than I do. I mean, the next time I was here then, maybe not the very next time, but when I came in June to close on the house, the protest movement had started and almost all the monuments were already gone. And so yeah, it was a very rapid change. And what I am learning by talking to people who are from here is how different people's understanding is. There are different versions of history that people have learned. And so some people see things in a different way based on what they have come to understand. But my perspective as an outsider coming in is it's been an incredibly fast change and really astonishing. I think I'm pretty sure the sociology of social change would tell you that it can feel like a fast change, but almost always it wasn't. There were people working on things and agitating and asking for and planning for changes. And then it just, when you're not doing that work and you're an outsider, you thought, whoa, that happened fast. But it did go from just conversation to being done very, very fast this summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to encourage any other questions as we sort of close out what our planned program is. But Dean Malat, I didn't know if you wanted to share anything else that came to mind. You mentioned your tour of Richmond before, and maybe it's what I find so exciting about our university is it's at the doorstep of all of this, and our students are living in the change. And the college is at the epicenter of the university, helping them understand these subjects and things, and living in a community that very much is active. So I didn't know if you wanted to share anything as we sort of wrap up our Q&A section.
I don't know. Is there a story you think I'm going to share?
No,
I don't, I think, it's the very possibility of what this college can be and the role that VCU has and can have in this conversation that drew me to want to come here. And so when I interviewed for the job and accepted the job, none of these things were happening. The pandemic hadn't started here yet in the United States yet. And there were no active protests around the monuments. And so, but I could see that we serve a diverse student population, that we're located right here in the city, and that, that there's the potential to have these conversations. And now the time is here for us to have them. So, yeah.
Well, we had another question pop up that maybe is tangential to some of what you were just saying. What is the acquisition and divestiture approach you will use in the college? I think this is in regards to student retaining and attracting students. We have to find studies that will attract and offer value to them. We will likely have to move away from some studies that don't fit that bill. How would you, or how do you plan to approach those things?
Okay. So, all right. This is why it's so fun to talk to people outside of the academy, because that wording, I had to adjust to it there for a minute, but I get the question, because that is not, it's a challenging conversation in the academy. And I think, when I look at the majors that we have, so I assume this is a question about like degree and majors. When I look at the majors that we have in the college, they almost all of them have a healthy number of students in them. We have so many students. We have so much opportunity to offer a diverse set of courses and degrees. And so my thinking right now is not that we need to eliminate any particular degrees or departments. I don't think that makes sense for us right now. And in part, some of the programs with few majors, they still offer courses that are part of general education and that serve students' development. So it's important for us to support those departments, even if they don't have a lot of majors. So, yeah. And then as far as the development of new programs, the way this question's worded, I feel like the person wants like my real data-driven answer, so I'm going to give it. When I ask faculty to think about new programs that they might want to offer, that will be paired with their actual sets of data that you get around what degree programs make sense and which ones are growing. And so you can get data that is based on things as immediate as Google searches. Census data about kinds of jobs that are growing and declining. You look at what the degree programs are in your region, in your state system, and then in the places from where you draw students. And so you put all of that together to decide whether or not those data support offering the program. Although I won't be completely constrained by those data, because I think we're in such a time of quick change that we might find some ideas that that we'll just take a gamble on, and they won't take. We're not going to be able to afford in this environment to hire a whole bunch of new faculty to do things. This is really about taking the people we have here and thinking about kind of how we might package some of what we offer already into new ways, or, well, offer new classes, but with the same people we have, with their expertise being leveraged in different ways to put things together for students. So I hope that answers that question.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I want to give one last opportunity for anyone to ask a question as we close our time together. But I just wanted to say thank you, Dean Malat. I know alumni and friends of the college are delighted to get a chance to know you a little bit better, and hopefully next time in person. Thank you, everyone who logged in today. We are so appreciative of this community of support. The success of the college is your success too. We value your contributions and encouragement. And if you're considering a year-end charitable contribution, we hope you will think about making a gift to support the students and faculty and work in the college at support.vcu.edu/give. So this concludes today's event, and we thank you for your attendance. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.